But do you know that they are in need? I.e., it's the role of the state to go out to the society, look for the unfortunate communities, look for the poor, look for those who need help, and help them, rather than waiting for them to be in the queue and fill application forms. That's how Islam should be. That's how Ali's version of Islam, that's how Muhammad's version of Islam is. You look after the poor, you don't wait for the poor to come and ask you. So, these just were examples about the policies of Ali. Yet the Khawarij hated him. They considered him a non-Muslim, and they fought him until they couldn't obviously defeat him. Then they assassinated him. Modern day, I kept saying there are features of these people today, and here you are. I'll present you with today's extremists. I'll present you with today's Khawarij. I'll present you today with the same mentality that existed 25 years after the Prophet and ended up with the killing of the Prophet's son-in-law and the Prophet's grandson. Wahhabism. A group that, with the help of British intelligence, was created in Saudi Arabia in the middle of the 18th century, purely to destroy the religion from within. A group of extremists. A group of purely extremists. And the Prophet, by the way, have always warned from the area of Najd. If you are interested in finding the narrations about Najd, you can easily find them if you have access to Islamic books of Hadith. The Prophet have always inspired the people of Sham, honored them, the people of Yemen. Sham means modern day Syria. But when the Muslims used to ask him about Najd, which is it's an area of central Saudi Arabia. It's where Riyadh now is. Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. When the people used to ask him about Najd, he used to either stay silent, or give a negative impression about any movement that comes from that particular area. Not that he has forced them to do anything, but history proved itself. The first individual after the Prophet to claim that he's a prophet came from that area. Khawarij top leader came from this area. Throughout history, their main leaders came from this area. And in the 18th century, with the help of some external force, they were revived again. Najd, come the Wahhabism, obviously refers to a scholar called Muhammed bin Abdul Wahhab. Let's look at their features and compare them with the Khawarij. Remember that picture of the few examples? Superficial understanding. The Wahhabis are quite adherent to the Quran, but nothing else. You probably say, well, you're a Muslim, you should respect the Quran. I know. But the Quran represents the main source, and the traditions of the prophets represents the explanation. So for someone to stand up and say the Quran only, he always got half of the religion. And maybe he will be misguided. Because you can misinterpret the words of the Quran as you want if you're not guided by the Prophet's teachings. So again, they're quite keen on learning the Quran, on their pronunciation, on the words, on reciting it, memorizing it, but no understanding of the meanings whatsoever. Osama bin Laden digs in the Quran, finds a verse that says, kill al-mushrikeen, kill the non-Muslims. And he goes on TV and he says, that's it. The Quran says kill the non-Muslims. He doesn't want to read before it when it says, those who fight you, make sure you fight them, and those who don't fight you, make sure you show kindness to them. No. He picks that verse that says, fight the non-Muslims. Superficial, literal, narrow-minded. Corrupt from within, he's hunting for something to justify his cause. And he can easily find it. Like with any other religion. If you want to dig for justification for your cause, you can find it. And by the way, Osama bin Laden is a current Wahhabi. Just an explanation. This group continues to give new faces that have nothing but corruption. The main feature of the Wahhabism, when it came out in the 18th century, is that they considered both Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims non-Muslims. Do you remember when I showed you the slide that says the Khawarij, if you sin, then you consider outside the religion? That's exactly modern day Wahhabis. If you perform a sin, that's it. And they consider both Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims sinners. Because according to them, they're both practicing non-Islamic rituals, or whatever their interpretation of Islam is. So when that group came out, their victims were Sunnis, because there were more Sunnis at Najd at that time, and then when they expanded, with the help of the Saudi royal family, they started killing the Shia. But the first immediate victims are Sunni Muslims. So they're against both. You sin, you're outside the religion. And if you're outside the religion, then there's only violence. I mean, why is it that we Muslims labeled Osama bin Laden in 1998 an extremist? And why in September the 11th people are asking us, come and speak about bin Laden? 3 years before September the 11th, we've been telling the world that this guy is an extremist. He's a criminal. Way before September the 11th. Do you know why in 1998 bin Laden was a criminal? Or you probably they don't teach you history in St. George's, obviously, because you need to be politically correct. But when a major religion is under attack, that's freedom of speech. When Islam has been asked that, look, bin Laden is a Muslim leader, can we stand up and justify it? We've been labeling him an extremist since 1998 when he bombarded the 2 American embassies in Africa. We called Taliban an extremist group in 1995 when they took control of Afghanistan, not when Mr. George W. Bush decided that Taliban and bin Laden are outlaws and that they need to be brought to justice. We're ahead in the game of knowing who the extremists and who the criminals are, but because the media is in his hands, now we are under question. We need to justify ourselves. Maybe he should have listened to us before he supplied, or was it his father that he supplied Al-Qaeda with weapons? So, the similarity between the Khawarij and the Wahhabis is that the first victims are always Muslims. Always. Khawarij, they fought Ali. Wahhabis fought Sunnis and Shias. Modern Wahhabis, they're killing people in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and in Iraq. Yes, there were 3,000 innocent individuals died in the United States of America. Yes, that was a crime. But in Iraq, over 200 people die every single year from car bombs. And Osama bin Laden is appointed Emir of Iraq, says we are responsible. So who's the first target? Who are the victims? Muslims. Khawarij, Wahhabis. Enemies of Islam. Features that we should learn about in history, and we should know that they are not modern features. And again, the Wahhabis are very, very strict in the way they dress, in the way they pray. But when it comes to the core principles of Islam, have you ever asked bin Laden if he's got so many websites in his name, why didn't he say a single word about Saddam as a dictator? Didn't Saddam kill over 250,000 in 2 weeks? Yes, he did. But bin Laden is not interested. Because he cares about the way he prays, or for his own ill desires. Ever asked bin Laden why? That you've been on TV for many years, since 1998. Ever asked him why didn't he mention Palestine until 2005? For the Muslims amongst you, I ask you, Palestine is the most ancient occupied country in the world, and bin Laden is not interested. Only in 2005 he mentioned one word about Palestine. He doesn't care about the Muslims' affairs, injustice, dictatorship. He doesn't care.